the outer skin for the tabernacle. Excuse me. And we have a few choices in what we're dealing with here. And a lot of the Bibles will translate this as badger. Some of it will translate it as what I would think of as a manatee. This actually gives an indication as to the location of Mount Sinai. Because if they're in the middle of the Sinai desert, or honestly, if a lot of people believe it's in Saudi Arabia, which is way inside of, it's a good distance in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia location doesn't fit for many other reasons. Specifically, it's directly in the mountains, and there's no place for 2.5 million people to camp around the mountain. And it's certainly not on the backside of the desert, and we certainly know that from Moses, because when he went and dealt with the burning bush, he took this flock to the backside of the desert. So the Saudi Arabia site doesn't work for this reason as well as many other reasons. But regardless of wherever it is, it's got to be close to the water. And I say that because we have, of the choices that we have, and we really actually have like three choices, major choices. We have the badger, and the reason for that is that came from the Latin word taxus, T-A-X-U-S, and the German word Dachs, both meaning badger. But the problem is there are no badgers in the Sinai Peninsula. There's no badgers in the Sinai in Saudi Arabia. So unless somebody's going up to Syria to get it, because there are badgers in Syria, excuse me, Syria, close to Lebanon. So unless somebody's going up there, or unless the creator's bringing one down from there, there's a problem. Now, the other thing about a badger, it's a small animal. You're going to have to do a whole lot of skins to do it. Manatee's a quite large animal, and a dolphin is a large animal as well. So they're going to give you a larger skin. It doesn't matter on which of these three animals it is, they're all unclean animals. So whoever's out there to do that, to kill that animal and to skin the animal, they will be unclean. They're going to have to go through a mikvah to get clean again. Realistically, the other thing about it, and this is why people actually look at it from what I would say specifically as to either the dolphin or the manatee. The Arabic word, similar to the Hebrew word tahash, which again, that's the word that is used, is tahash. And it's very close. Tahas, not tahash. In other words, they're missing an H at the end of that, means dolphin. Now, the other thing about it is there is archaeological evidence that there were a lot of shoes that were made out of manatees back in that region. So when it says a leather, that if they're making sandals out of it, it was a common thing to make things out of a manatee. But again, realize if they're, and obviously Mount Sinai is not in the ocean, but it's got to be close enough to the ocean so that when time comes to we need to actually do this and get this material to actually build the tabernacle, that somebody's able to go out and get this. Well, it's going to be actually a multitude of animals. Now, that's the outer covering. Inside of that covering is goat skin. Well, we'll have plenty of that. How they dye it red, because it has to be dyed red. Again, I'm sure there'll be some plants that are there, and somebody's going to have knowledge of those plants, and this will dye the skins red, because that has to be dyed red for the ram skin. Ram being a goat, so not a problem doing that. It doesn't say anything with regards to dyeing the color. And again, I didn't mention it, but it's actually, this is going to be in Exodus 26:14, where it starts talking about the outer covering. And again, if it was back then, it seems to me that we would be doing the same exact thing. So somebody's going to be leaving, and then amazingly, that's an animal, the manatee or the dolphin. they're in that area. They're in the Sinai Peninsula. They're, not in the Sinai Peninsula because that's land, but in other words, it goes up the Gulf of Aqaba and it goes up the Red Sea. So that's a very common animal there, or common enough that it would be there. And I just about guarantee you, if somebody's going out there to get it, the Creator is going to take care of the issue. The Messiah, when he was on earth, he even told somebody, go out and catch a fish, and the coin that the Romans are looking for will be in the mouth of the fish. I mean, they're controlling those animals without a question. And again, so if it is badger, let's assume that that's a possibility. He will take care of that. He will provide that animal. If it has to come down from Syria, then it'll come down from Syria. It's not a problem. It's just if it is a dolphin or if it is the manatee, that's indicating that Sinai has to at least be close enough to the mountains that the people would go out to do it. So just a different way of thinking about something, hopefully different way.